Don't stop at mile marker 66. I wasn't supposed to be on that highway. It was 2:13 a.m. when I passed the last gas station outside Amarillo, Texas. The cashier had looked at me strangely when I told him where I was headed. Taking Route 66? He asked. Yeah, I said. Why? He hesitated. Then he said something I wish I had taken seriously. Whatever you do, don't stop at mile marker 66. I laughed. I shouldn't have. The road ahead was empty. No headlights. No taillights. Just black pavement cutting through darker desert. And that's when my radio died. The static wasn't normal. It wasn't white noise. It sounded layered. Like whispers overlapping each other. Dozens of voices speaking at once, too low to understand. I smacked the radio. It cut out completely. Silence. Not even wind. Have you ever driven somewhere so isolated that it feels like the world ended and no one told you? That's what Route 66 felt like that night. The GPS lost signal 5 minutes later. Then my headlights flickered. At first I thought it was my alternator. But when the lights dimmed, I saw something ahead in the darkness. A shape. Standing near the right shoulder. Too tall. Too thin. Completely still. I slowed down instinctively. Big mistake. As my car approached, the figure didn't move. Didn't wave. Didn't step back. It just stood there. Facing me. And I couldn't see its face. Because it didn't have one. I slammed the gas pedal. The engine roared. The figure didn't react. But as I passed it, I swear to God, it turned its head. And there was nothing there. No eyes. No mouth. Just smooth skin where a face should have been. I didn't look in the rearview mirror. I didn't want to. But something in my chest told me I needed to. So I did. It wasn't on the shoulder anymore. It was standing in the middle of the road, watching my car disappear. That's when I saw the sign. Mile marker 66. I hadn't realized how far I'd driven. My gas light turned on. Of course it did. I muttered under my breath and glanced at the gauge. Almost empty. That didn't make sense. I had just filled up. Then I saw something that made my stomach drop. The odometer. It wasn't counting up. It was counting down. Slowly. Tick. 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 Like a timer. The car began to slow down on its own. I pressed the gas. Nothing. The steering wheel stiffened. The engine went quiet. I rolled to a stop directly beside the mile marker 66 sign. And that's when my headlights shut off completely. Total darkness. Not even moonlight. Just black. Then came the knock. 3 slow taps. On my driver's side window. I couldn't move. I couldn't breathe. Another 3 taps. Slower this time. I forced myself to look left. There was someone standing beside my door. But it wasn't the tall faceless thing. This one looked human. An older man. Highway patrol uniform. Smiling. Car trouble, he mouthed. I couldn't hear him. But I could see his lips move. Relief washed over me. Until I noticed something wrong. His badge. It was melted. Like wax. And dripping. He tapped the glass again. Harder. Crack. A thin fracture spidered across the window. My door handles wouldn't unlock. My phone had no signal. He leaned closer. And I saw his reflection in my side mirror. Except, in the mirror, he didn't look human. His face was stretched. Jaw unhinged. Eyes hollow. Smiling far too wide. The knocking turned into pounding. The windshield began to fracture. My ears rang. And then, everything stopped. Silence. My headlights flickered back on. The engine roared to life. The odometer reset. 123,441 miles. Normal. The gas tank? Half full. I looked around. No officer. No faceless figure. Just desert. I almost convinced myself it was stress. Sleep deprivation. Hallucination. Until I looked at the road ahead. There were cars. Dozens of them. Parked along the shoulder. Old models. Covered in dust. Every single one abandoned. Doors open. Engines gone. And beside each car was a mile marker 66 sign. Over. And over. And over. My GPS came back online. But it didn't show Route 66 anymore. It showed a single red dot. Right where I was. And text that read, You should have kept driving. Then the radio came back. The whispers were clear now. They were all saying the same thing. Stay. My headlights dimmed again. And this time, they didn't come back on. That was 3 years ago. They found my car near Amarillo. Engine cold. Keys still inside. No damage. No signs of struggle. But they never found me. And if you ever drive Route 66 at night, and your gas gauge suddenly drops, whatever you do, don't stop at mile marker 66. Because the thing that stands there isn't asking for help. It's waiting for company. When my headlights died the second time, I realized something. The darkness wasn't natural. It wasn't just the absence of light. It felt thick. Like fog without moisture. Like ink poured over the world. I couldn't see the dashboard. Couldn't see my hands. But I could still hear the whispers. Closer now. Not from the radio. From outside the car. Surrounding it. Circling. Soft footsteps dragging across gravel. And then, breathing. Right beside my door. I told myself not to panic. Engines restart. Batteries glitch. Electronics fail. That's normal. But gravel doesn't crunch in perfect circles around your car unless something is walking. Slowly. Deliberately. The breathing moved from the driver's side to the hood. Then to the passenger door. Then directly behind me. I refused to look. The rearview mirror was just a black void anyway. Then something touched the trunk. A heavy thud. Like someone leaning their full weight against it. My phone suddenly lit up in my lap. No signal. No bars. But a notification appeared. Unknown number. One new voicemail. I didn't press anything. It opened by itself. Static. Then a voice. My voice. Breathing heavily. Whispering. Don't turn around. My blood froze. Because I wasn't whispering. And I wasn't breathing like that. The voicemail timestamp read. 3 years from now. The car doors unlocked. All of them. Simultaneously. Click. 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 I grabbed the handle and locked it again. Immediately. Click. Unlocked. The back door slowly creaked open. I didn't touch it. Cold air poured in. Except it wasn't desert air. It smelled damp. Earthy. Like a basement that had never seen sunlight. Then the whispers stopped. Completely. Silence. Which somehow felt worse. A hand slid onto the edge of the back seat. Long fingers. Too many joints. Bending wrong. I still couldn't see the body attached to it. Just that hand gripping the upholstery. Slowly tightening. The seat fabric began to tear. Threads snapping one by one. I forced myself not to look back. Because the voicemail, my voice, had warned me. Don't turn around. Then the car shifted. Weight settling into the back seat. Something was sitting behind me. Close enough that I could feel its breath on my neck. Cold. Wet. It whispered one word. Stay. The same word from the radio. The GPS flickered back on. The screen no longer showed a map. Just a live camera feed. From inside my car. Except, in the feed, I wasn't alone. The camera showed the thing clearly. Tall. Bone thin. Skin stretched too tight over a frame that bent unnaturally. And its face was mine. Distorted. Smiling. It leaned forward in the screen. But I didn't feel it move in real life. On the screen, it opened its mouth wider. Wider. Jaw splitting past human limits. And inside its mouth was a dark highway. Stretching infinitely. With thousands of cars parked along it. Each beside a mile marker 66 sign. Each car with someone sitting inside. Frozen. Waiting. Then I understood. The cars weren't abandoned. They were occupied. We just couldn't see each other. Because we weren't in the same version of the road. The thing's hand touched my shoulder. This time I felt it. Ice cold. Heavy. Real. The GPS screen displayed new text. Driver replacement complete. And suddenly, I could see again. But not from my seat. From the back seat. Through hollow eyes. I was looking at myself gripping the steering wheel. Breathing fast. Panicking. The version of me in the driver's seat slowly turned around. And his face was gone. Smooth. Blank. Waiting. That's when I realized the truth. Mile marker 66 isn't a location. It's a rotation. Something stands there. It waits for a driver low on gas, low on sleep, alone. It doesn't kill you. It trades places. And once you're in the backseat, you start whispering to the next one. You drain their gas. You glitch their radio. You make them slow down. You make them stop. Because you don't want to sit in the dark forever. You want your seat back. The headlights flicked on one last time. From the driver's seat, I watch myself, no, the thing, step out of the car. It stretched, adjusted its shoulders, then looked back at me through the rear window, and smiled with my face. It closed the door, locked it, and walked down the highway toward approaching headlights in the distance. Another car, another tired driver, another replacement. The engine turned off, and I felt the car roll forward slightly, but there was no one in the front anymore, because now, I was the one in the back, waiting. 3 years from now, someone will receive a voicemail, from their own voice, telling them not to turn around. I hope they listen, because if they don't, I might finally get to drive again. The woman in the median. I wasn't speeding. That's the first thing I told the state trooper when this was all over. I was just trying to make it home before the storm hit. It was late October, somewhere outside Tulsa, Oklahoma. The highway was nearly empty, the kind of empty that makes you feel like you missed an evacuation notice. Rain had just started to fall, light at first, barely tapping against the windshield. That's when I saw her, standing in the median, perfectly still. At first I thought she was a broken-down driver. Maybe her car had slid off the road. But there were no hazard lights, no vehicle nearby, just her, barefoot, wearing what looked like a long white nightgown, soaked and clinging to her frame. Her hair hung over her face, unmoving despite the wind. And she wasn't facing traffic. She was facing away, toward the opposite lane, like she was waiting for someone coming the other direction. I slowed down. Not fully, just enough to see if she needed help. As my headlights passed over her, something felt wrong. Her feet weren't touching the ground. They hovered, just slightly, barely noticeable unless you were really looking. I blinked hard. Rain distortion, I told myself. But then she moved. Not walking, not turning. She glided across the wet grass, without bending her knees. My chest tightened. I pressed the gas. The car fishtailed slightly on the slick pavement, but I kept control. When I checked the rearview mirror, she was gone. The median was empty. I exhaled slowly, adrenaline playing tricks on me. That's what I thought, until my radio clicked on by itself. Static. Then a soft female voice, barely above a whisper. Wrong way. I looked at the GPS. Still pointed straight home. Still correct. Then the voice repeated it. Wrong way. The rain intensified. Heavy sheets now. Wipers struggling to keep up. Thunder cracked somewhere in the distance. Then headlights appeared in front of me. Too close. Way too close. A pair of high beams speeding toward me in my lane. I jerked the wheel right, barely avoiding a head-on collision. The oncoming car blasted past on my left. But, as it did, I saw something that made my stomach drop. There was no driver. The driver's seat was empty. My tires hit the rumble strip. I corrected. Heart pounding. Hands shaking. That's when the radio voice came back. Louder this time. You're going the wrong way. I screamed back at it. I'm on the right side. The GPS screen flickered. The map rotated. And suddenly, the arrow representing my car flipped. It showed me traveling against traffic. But I wasn't. I could see the lane markings. I was fine. I was right. Wasn't I? Lightning struck somewhere close. The flash illuminated the highway ahead. And for half a second, I saw her again, standing directly in my lane, facing me now, hair still covering her face, head tilted slightly to one side. I slammed the brakes. The car hydroplaned. Everything spun. Guardrail. Road. Sky. Metal screamed. Glass exploded. And then, silence. When I opened my eyes, the rain had stopped. No thunder. No wind. The car sat upright. Engine off. Airbags deployed. But something felt wrong. The highway was empty. Too empty. No passing cars. No distant headlights. Just stillness. I reached for my phone. No signal. Of course. Then I noticed something else. The lane markings. They weren't wide anymore. They were faded. Cracked. Like they hadn't been maintained in years. I stepped out of the car. My door made no sound. Not even a creak. The world felt muted. Like someone had lowered the volume of reality. That's when I saw the median. And her. She stood there again. But this time, there were more. Dozens of women in white gowns. All standing in the grass. All facing the highway. All with hair covering their faces. All perfectly still. My chest tightened. I turned slowly. Behind me, the highway stretched in both directions. But the cars weren't moving. They were frozen. Mid-drive. Some tilted. Some half-crashed. Drivers inside. Hands on wheels. Eyes open. Not blinking. Not breathing. Just staring forward. Like mannequins. A voice spoke beside me. Not from the radio this time. From right next to my ear. You were warned. I didn't want to look. But I did. She was inches from my face. Hair parted just enough for me to see her eyes. Completely white. No pupils. No iris. Just blank. Like headlights in fog. You were going the wrong way, she whispered. Then she leaned closer. And I understood. The highway wasn't wrong. The GPS wasn't wrong. I wasn't wrong. I had crossed over. During the spin. During the lightning strike. Into the other side of the road. The side where accidents don't end. They repeat. Over and over. And every new driver who loses control joins the median. Waiting. For the next one. The women began to move. Not walking. Not gliding. Just appearing closer each blink. Encircling me. The frozen drivers in the cars slowly turned their heads in unison. Toward me. Mouths opening. Not screaming. Smiling. I ran back to my car. Slid inside. Turned the key. Nothing. The woman from before leaned down to my window. And softly asked, "Do you know which way you're facing now?" Then everything went dark. Darkness swallowed everything. Not the kind when you close your eyes. The kind that feels physical. Pressing. Breathing. When my vision came back, I was still in the driver's seat. But the car wasn't wrecked anymore. No shattered glass. No deployed airbags. The windshield was intact. Rain lightly tapping again. Like nothing had happened. The engine was running. The radio was silent. And the highway ahead looked normal. Empty. I checked the rearview mirror. No frozen cars. No silent drivers. Just darkness behind me. My heart was still pounding. I looked at the GPS. It showed my route again. 22 minutes to home. Normal. Almost believable. Then I noticed something subtle. The compass at the top. It said, south. I had been driving north all night. My hands began to shake. I slowly looked up at the overhead highway sign approaching in the distance. Green reflective metal. The kind you've seen 1,000 times. As I got closer, my headlights lit it up. North. Tulsa. Straight ahead. I looked back down at the GPS. Still saying south. I looked back up at the sign. Now it read, wrong way. In bold black letters. Not reflective. Painted. Like it had always been there. The radio clicked on again. No static this time. Just breathing. Soft. Close. Then the voice. You still don't understand. My headlights flickered. And in the median to my left. She was walking now. Not gliding. Walking. Keeping pace with my car. Barefoot on the wet grass. Hair dragging behind her like it weighed 100 pounds. But her feet still weren't touching the ground. I sped up. So did she. I slowed down. She matched me perfectly. Never looking at me. Just walking parallel. Then, slowly, her head began to turn. Bone by bone. Until her face pointed directly at my window. Her hair parted. Those white eyes locked onto mine. And she smiled. Not wide. Not exaggerated. Just knowingly. The GPS screen glitched. The map disappeared. Replaced by a single question. Are you sure you're alive? My chest tightened. I checked my pulse. It felt faint. Or maybe that was panic. I looked at my reflection in the side mirror. And my stomach dropped. There was a deep gash across my forehead. Blood dried down my temple. I slowly touched my head. Nothing there. Mirror again. The wound was real in the reflection, not in reality. Or maybe the reflection was reality. Lightning cracked again. For a split second, the entire highway illuminated, and I saw it clearly. My car wasn't driving. It was crumpled against a guardrail, upside down, smoke rising from the hood, paramedics kneeling beside a covered body on the pavement, and the woman in white, standing in the median, watching them, watching me. The light vanished. Back to rain. Back to smooth road. Back to the illusion of driving. The voice returned. You crossed over. I whispered, when? The answer came immediately. When you spun. The hydroplane. The lightning. The impact. I never corrected. I never drove away. I never got back on the road. I was the driver they pulled from the wreck. And the version of me still driving? That's the echo. The replay. The part that hasn't accepted it yet. The woman stepped off the median and onto the asphalt, directly in front of my moving car. I didn't brake. I couldn't. The car passed through her, and everything stopped. Engine. Rain. Sound. I was standing now, not sitting, in the median, barefoot, cold grass beneath me, my clothes soaked. I looked down. White fabric clung to my body. Long. Flowing. Not mine. Not what I had been wearing. Across the highway, cars continued driving normally. Headlights passing. Drivers unaware. Every once in a while, one would drift slightly. Hydroplane just a little. Correct at the last second. But sometimes, one wouldn't. And when they spun, the world would flash, and another figure would appear beside me in the median. Hair over their face. Eyes slowly turning white. Waiting. If you're ever driving at night in the rain, and you see someone standing in the median, don't slow down. Don't check on them. Don't question your direction, because they aren't trying to cross. They are waiting for you to lose control and join them. The CB Channel 17 warning. I've been driving long-haul routes for 14 years. Snowstorms in Montana. Dust devils in Arizona. Endless black highways through Nebraska cornfields. Nothing ever scared me. Until Route 17 in northern Wyoming. It was late November. The kind of cold that seeps through steel. My load was frozen beef headed to Billings. Easy money. Quiet night. No traffic. No headlights for miles. Just me, the engine hum, and the radio static. That's when my CB crackled, and someone whispered my name. I hadn't touched the MIC. Breaker, breaker, you shouldn't be on this road tonight. The voice was low, gravelly, like someone speaking through sand. I checked the display. Channel 17. I never use 17. Most truckers stick to 19. Everyone knows that. I grabbed the MIC. Who's this? Static. Then, you passed the mile marker. You weren't supposed to. A chill slid down my spine. There hadn't been a single truck behind me for over an hour. No taillights. No rest stops. No exits. Just forest. And darkness. I told myself it was a bored driver messing around. Happens all the time. Copy that, I muttered. Real funny. Then my GPS blinked. Signal lost. I looked at my phone. No bars. That's normal in Wyoming. But then something wasn't. The highway sign ahead didn't match my route. It read, Route 17, closed ahead. I slammed the brakes slightly. Closed. Dispatch said nothing about construction. And I hadn't seen a single warning sign. The CB crackled again. You're still driving. That same voice. Closer this time. I felt my chest tighten. How do you know that? I asked. Silence. Then faintly. We can see you. I checked my mirrors. Nothing. Just black road behind me. No headlights. No movement. No life. Then my sleeper cab door thudded. Once. Hard. I nearly swerved. No one could be back there. The truck was sealed. Locked. I pulled onto the shoulder. Bad idea. I know. But I needed to check. The engine idled loudly in the stillness. I grabbed my flashlight. Stepped down into the snow. The cold hit like knives. I walked around the trailer. Nothing. No footprints except mine. No vehicles. No tracks in the snow. But when I reached the rear doors, there was writing in the frost. 3 words. You missed it. My stomach dropped. Missed what? I hadn't stopped anywhere. Hadn't passed anyone. I wiped the frost away. Gone. Just smooth ice. I stood there breathing hard, telling myself I was tired. Too many miles. Too little sleep. That's when every clearance light on my trailer went out. Total darkness. Engine still running. Headlights still on. But the trailer behind me. Pitch black. And from inside it, something slammed. Impossible. It was sealed at the distribution center. 40,000 pounds of frozen meat. Nothing alive. The metal bowed outward again. Boom. Like something throwing itself against the walls. My radio exploded with static. Open it, the voice whispered. Let it out. I stumbled backward. No. The pounding stopped. Silence. Then a slow scraping sound from inside the trailer. Dragging. Heavy. Moving toward the rear doors. I ran back to the cab. Slammed the door. Locked it. The CB lit up by itself. No one was transmitting. But I could hear breathing. Deep. Wet. And not human. You were warned, the voice said calmly now. You passed the mile marker. What mile marker? I shouted. There had been dozens. The dashboard flickered. For half a second. The outside world changed. The trees were gone. The snow was gone. The road was cracked and empty. Abandoned. Like it hadn't been used in decades. Then everything snapped back. My odometer reset to 0. I stared at it. 0 miles. But I'd been driving for hours. The CB whispered again. You're still on it. On what? I shoved the truck into gear. Pressed the gas. The speedometer climbed. But the scenery didn't change. The same bent pine tree stayed ahead of me. No matter how far I drove. Like I was stuck in place. Looping. Then I saw it. On the side of the road. A truck. Same model as mine. Same company logo. Engine off. Lights dead. Driver door open. I slowed. Against my better judgment. The name printed on the door. Was mine. The CB hissed. That one stopped. I couldn't breathe. I stepped out again. Walked toward the other truck. Inside. The cab was frozen solid. Ice covering the steering wheel. The seat. The dashboard. Like it had been sitting there for years. And in the sleeper. Something was moving under the blanket. Slowly. Turning toward me. That's when I heard my own voice behind me. Don't look. I turned. And I was standing there. Same jacket. Same face. But pale. Eyes black. Frost creeping across my skin. You missed the marker, he said. Then he smiled. And every light on my real truck went out. Every light on my truck died. Engine. Headlights. Dashboard. Total darkness swallowed the highway. The only illumination came from the other truck, the frozen one, its interior glowing faint blue from somewhere deep inside the sleeper. My double was still standing in front of me. Not moving. Not blinking. Snow fell through him like smoke. You don't remember crossing it, he said softly. But you did. Crossing what? My voice cracked. He pointed behind me. I turned slowly. There was no highway anymore. Just a narrow bridge. Broken in the middle. The bridge stretched into fog. Half of it missing. Beyond the gap, more road. My road. Route 17. You kept driving, my double continued. You never stopped at the closure. I never saw a bridge, I whispered. His smile widened. You don't see it until after. The frozen truck behind me groaned loudly. Metal twisting. The shape under the blanket sat up. The blanket slid down slowly, revealing a body. My body. Skin gray. Eyes open. Frozen in terror. My knees buckled. No, that's not real. You drove through, my double said calmly. November 17th, 2:13 a.m. The time hit me like a hammer. That's when the storm was worst. Black ice. 0 visibility. He leaned closer. You never felt the fall. The world flickered again. And suddenly, I was inside my truck, not standing outside. Driving. Snow blinding my windshield. CB static screaming. Speedometer at 62 miles per hour. And ahead. No road. Just empty space. I slammed the brakes. Nothing happened. The pedal felt loose. Like it wasn't connected to anything. The truck launched forward. Weightless. The sensation of falling. Metal screaming. Glass shattering. Cold air crushing my lungs. Then silence. Pitch black. Then. Back to the bridge. Back to my double. You died instantly, he said. Lucky, compared to the others. Others. I choked. He gestured into the darkness below the broken bridge. Shapes moved down there. Twisted metal. Headlights flickering far beneath. Trucks piled on top of each other in the void. And inside each cab. Movement. They don't know yet, he whispered. They're still driving. The CB crackled again. Now dozens of voices. All confused. All scared. All units. Anyone copy? Where's the road? My GPS just reset. What mile marker am I at? Channel 17. Every one of them. They crossed it too, my double said. The marker doesn't warn you. It counts you. A cold realization settled in. The odometer resetting. The looping road. The repeated pine tree. I hadn't been driving forward. I'd been replaying the last stretch. Over. And over. And over. Why show me? I asked. Because you stopped, he replied. You got out. That made no sense. I never stopped before the fall. He shook his head. You stopped tonight. Behind him, my real truck flickered back into existence. Engine humming. Headlights on. Bridge gone. Highway normal again. Snow falling peacefully. You can go back, he said quietly. But you won't leave. What does that mean? You'll drive. You'll warn them. But they won't listen. The frozen corpse inside the other truck suddenly opened its mouth. And screamed. Not in pain. In rage. The sound shook the sky. My double stepped backward toward the void. One more thing, he said. You were the voice. The realization hit me like the crash all over again. The gravelly whisper. The warning. The name. I was the one on Channel 17. Trapped between the moment before impact. And the moment after. Trying to stop myself. Trying to stop anyone. But always too late. The CBMIC in my real truck lifted by itself. Floating. Waiting. My double faded into the snow. The bridge vanished. The other truck disappeared. And I was back in my cab. Engine running. Highway clear. Like nothing happened. The CB hissed softly. Silence. Then. Headlights appeared far behind me in the mirror. Another truck. Coming fast. I looked at the clock. 2:12 a.m. The mile marker ahead read. My hand moved on its own. Grabbed the MIC. Static filled the cab. I tried not to speak. Tried to fight it. But the words came anyway. Low. Gravelly. Like they weren't mine. Breaker, breaker. I swallowed. And whispered. You shouldn't be on this road tonight.